I always thought I had a perfect marriage. Sarah and I had been together for 8 years, and our life seemed like a well-rehearsed dance. We were both in our early 30s, living in a cozy Denver suburb. The spark between us still burned, or at least that's what I thought. Lately, I noticed changes. Sarah became distant, her laughter sounded less often, the phone was always in her hands, and there were late-night outings. I wanted to believe it was just work stress. Sarah worked in marketing, often stayed late, but the feeling of anxiety didn't leave me. An inner voice told me something was wrong. One fateful night, I decided to follow her, not out of distrust, but out of desperation, to know the truth. That evening, Sarah said she was going home from work with a friend. His name was Jake. He was a charming man. Always seemed too friendly. Jake was the type who could attract attention in a bar, and it worried me. When Sarah left, I put on my jacket and quietly followed. She turned on the taillights and headed to a trendy bar downtown, where neon signs and live music created a special atmosphere. My heart was pounding wildly watching her go inside. Laughter sounded like a beacon, drawing attention. I waited for Ed outside, leaning against the car, with anxiety in my stomach. It seemed like a long time passed before I dared to peek through the window. What I saw made my blood run cold. Sarah was sitting at the bar with Jake, their laughter blending with the music. They were too close. I noticed how she leaned over, her hand touching his during the conversation. It looked innocent, but it struck right at the heart. My wife, who used to show such affection only to me, was now giving it to another man. I was overwhelmed with a sense of betrayal. A wave of resentment swept over me, and before I knew it, I had already gone inside. The bar was lively, but my attention was solely on them. I saw them in the far corner, and as I approached, my heart was pounding so hard, it felt like it would burst out of my chest. At the very moment I was about to stop them, Sarah reached out and touched Jake's hand. That was the last straw. Sarah, I began, ready for the conversation that would change everything between us. I called her loudly, my voice cutting through the noise around. She turned to me with a look of shock and guilt on her face. We need to talk. Jake looked puzzled, but Sarah quickly waved him off. I'll be back soon, she said, her smile wavering, and she followed me outside. What the hell was that? I demanded, anger boiling inside me. I was just talking to a friend, she replied, but her voice sounded defensive. A friend? You were flirting with him, I snapped, unable to hide my pain. Flirting? That's absurd. We were just talking. I couldn't get her laughter and the sparkle in her eyes out of my head when she was talking to Jake. Sarah, this isn't just a conversation. You're hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. You're paranoid, she said. But her denial felt hollow. I knew the truth was hidden behind her innocent mask. That night I went home and replayed the scene in my mind again. Every detail intensified the feeling of betrayal, as if a knife was stabbing deeper. With each passing day, thoughts of revenge consumed me more and more. I could confront her, but that wasn't enough. No, I felt the same betrayal I had experienced before. So I devised a plan to make her question her own choices and the consequences of her actions. I created a fake social media account with a charming and mysterious persona. I named myself Mark, a common and unassuming name, perfect for my plan. I began following Sarah's social media, patiently waiting for the perfect opportunity to reach out and start a conversation with her. When I finally sent her a friend request, I pretended to be a new friend of Jakey, keeping the conversation light at first. As we chatted, I subtly steered the topic toward her marriage. I flattered her, playing into her insecurities and desires carefully. "You seem like a fun person who deserves to be treated well," I wrote, encouraging her to open up more about her feelings. Soon she started opening up, saying, "Thanks, Mark. Sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on life, like I could be having more fun." It was painful to read, but I continued, slowly stoking the flames of doubt about her current life and choices. I asked, "Why settle for less when you could have more? There are so many exciting people out there." The more we talked, the more her doubts grew, and the more she questioned her life, her marriage, and her happiness. She revealed that she admitted to feeling trapped, her dissatisfaction with our routine life surfacing in every conversation. I sensed she was searching for something I could manipulate. Weeks turned into months, and by the time I felt ready to act on my plan, Sarah had fully engaged in my online persona. She began to confide in me, sharing her deepest thoughts and frustrations. I carefully crafted my responses to make sure she felt understood. This created an emotional bond that had nothing to do with our marriage. Then came the fateful night I arranged to meet her at a cafe. Pretending to be just a friend, I wanted to gauge her feelings, to see if she would take this emotional affair to the next level. The moment she walked in, her eyes lit up as she spotted me. She looked beautiful, yet somehow lost. "Mark, I'm so glad you could meet," she exclaimed, sitting down with eagerness that made my stomach churn. "Of course, Sarah. I wouldn't miss it for the world," I smiled, hiding my true intentions as we talked. The conversation flowed effortlessly, but I could see the flicker of something in her eyes. There was a spark that should have been mine. As she laughed at my jokes and leaned in closer, I felt a wave of satisfaction wash over me. She was falling for the illusion I had created. I decided to push further, dropping hints about how much better life could be if she broke free from her constraints. "You deserve happiness, Sarah. Life is too short to settle for anything less." That statement hung in the air like a threat, and I saw the wheels turning in her mind. I wanted her to realize how far she had strayed. As I watched her grapple with her choices, I knew I was getting close. But as the meeting drew to a close, something inside me began to twist. I could see the conflict on her face, guilt mingling with her desire for freedom. She looked lost, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a pang of sympathy. Was I really willing to take this so far? That night, I drove home feeling conflicted. My plan had worked. I had successfully manipulated her feelings. But as I replayed our conversations, a question lingered in my mind. My mind was my revenge, and I realized it was worth it. While I wanted to teach her a lesson, I also needed to face my own demons within myself. The next day, I confronted Sarah, laying everything bare. I revealed my secret online identity and confessed how I had manipulated her feelings intentionally. Her face showed horror, devastating, yet exhilarating at the same time. "You used me," she gasped, voice trembling with hurt and disbelief. I admitted. "Yes, I wanted you to feel the betrayal I felt. I wanted you to see what you were doing to us." She looked hurt, angry, and shattered all at once. "You're no better than I am," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. In that moment of vulnerability between us, something changed. Despite the tension in the marriage, we understood that a long road lay ahead. Whether we would restore trust was unknown. I realized that revenge did not bring the desired satisfaction. It only exposed cracks in our foundation, forcing us to face the problems head-on. We sat in silence, the tension palpable. Both of us reeled from the brutal truth that shattered the illusion we had created together. While recording this story for my channel, I knew viewers would doubt the morality of my actions. Was my revenge justified, or had I crossed an unimaginable line? In the end, this story is not just about betrayal and revenge. It is a reminder that love is fragile, and sometimes preserving it requires admitting one's own mistakes. If you want to hear more dramatic and thought-provoking stories, don't forget to subscribe to the Lauren's Stories channel.